Good afternoon, Kevin. It's really, really good to speak to you again. It's probably been, what, 35 years now, and it's good to see you.
Yeah.
And as certainly one of the original sort of contributors to JP Burton Blades, it's just a privilege to be able to speak to you again and to thank you for your contribution and your generosity. So it's going to go a long way. It went a long way in 2020 and will continue to do so in the years to come. So let's go right into the questions. Why rowing? What drew you to the sport in the first place?
Well, first of all, thank you, Greg. I mean, this is an absolute awesome opportunity, and thank you so much. Rowing. You know, funny enough, my brother Wayne, he was 2 years ahead of me when I was still in primary school, and I'll never forget. My mother had pulled out the JP sort of school almanac, and she was telling him, when you go to high school, what sports would you like? And she was just kind of reading through all the sports. And then she just read out rowing. And I was in standard 3, I think. I just said, rowing. That's what I want to do. And Mom still turned to me like, huh? And it's true to form. When I started JP in standard 6, I don't know if you remember, we used to wear those black and white jerseys, the rowing jerseys. And under 13, I mean, everybody was borrowing theirs, whatever. I said to my mom, this is my sport. So I had my jersey bought for me, and that was it. I mean, I just stuck with the sport. There's just something so special about rowing. I mean, it was just, I mean, it's a team sport, as you know, but it's a team sport at a whole different level. I mean, you know, the normal school sports, the rugby's, the crickets, you're at the school or you're at the grounds during practice. If somebody doesn't turn up, the team still practices, but you can't do that when you're rowing. I mean, if a teammate doesn't pitch, well, nobody trains, you know. And yeah, it was just something special. I mean, it's a completely away sport in every aspect. It's just very special, and the teamwork, and you know, it was really great.
And of course, you stuck with it, and you went on to achieve great things in school with rowing, and we'll talk about that a bit later. So, I mean, how did your time at JP as a JP boy and as an oarsman impact on your adult life?
Well, there's two things that I've always said, you know, that I have the fondest memories, and that's completely rowing and my time as a boarder at Sesame House. So boarding school life I love, but rowing was just completely a part of every aspect of my life. I mean, it was the sport that I just completely threw myself in. And I mean, rowing taught me endurance in life. You know, if you start something, finish it, see it through. You know, you just pedal to the metal and you just go for it. I mean, and that was what rowing was like. You know, you can't like pull out halfway and kind of stop. You just, when you start, you go. And that's something that I've sort of applied that in my life in every aspect always since then.
Excellent. So, yeah. Absolutely brilliant. And of course, you know, in terms of JP rowing and in terms of everything else, you've certainly got the memories to look back on, because I remember your mom at the time, she was a prolific photographer, and you know, so I think you were probably the most photographed JP boy in all time. You and your brother, you and Wayne, it was just absolutely incredible. So yeah, and that's great. So just something that I mentioned earlier, you've been involved with what we call the J88 club, which is a monthly contribution to JP Burton Blades, but ultimately to JP rowing. And the initiative there has always been, you know, so in 2020 we needed to buy the 8, and we needed to get a lot of capital, a lot of money through the door really quickly. And that was made up from, you know, contributions from the J88 club, which we've now coined the phrase, and of course other contributions as well. But going forward, you know, we're certainly looking to institutionalize, if you want to call it that J88 club, with a view of when the school needs equipment, when the school needs boats, they don't have to say, okay, so let's raise funds for this, you know, whatever it is, and you know, a year later you might have a boat, and very often, sadly, those initiatives are not successful.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate with JB Boats and Blades that buying that first date, which was on the agenda for 5-6 years, actually happened on our watch, if you want to call it that. So we were very, very fortunate for that. But going forward, in 5 years' time, when they need to replace that boat, we don't want to still be scrounging around for money. We want to have the money available so that the order can be placed. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on JP Boats and Blades as an initiative, and the fact that we're building this community that really is pulling together for the club?
Look, I think it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, I must be honest, when you first approached me, I must be honest, at the time, I just thought I wish I could have contributed more. It's just, unfortunately, we just had so many, we still have so many personal commitments, whatever, but I think the initiative is fantastic. And I think it's really clever, if I can put it that way. The amount you're talking about, I mean, that's completely reachable for most people. You know what I mean? It's not going to break the bank. I mean, my word, that's a trip to McDonald's, so I think, but the initiative is really fantastic. And I mean, kudos to you guys for starting that. I mean, it's kind of like, why didn't we do it before, So really, it was fantastic. And I mean, completely blown away by the speed with which, you acquired the boat and all that. It was just, wow. I mean, watching the launch and watching the guys in that boat was just, my word. It sort of like took me back. It was like, damn it, such a good thing, really. Lovely to see.
Likewise. Yeah. You're right, Kevin. We've purposefully kept it low because at the end of the day, we want everybody to have the opportunity to say, we've helped with this, we've contributed, we're part of something that's far bigger than ourselves. And I guess that's, in many ways, that's the spirit of rowing. You spoke about the team earlier on, and in this initiative, it's about the teamwork, it's about collaborating together, and it's about a community of people that are like-minded and who are, we're not talking, it doesn't, the amount doesn't really matter. It's the fact that you're contributing, and there's some guys who can't even do that at the moment because of COVID and the sort of like ramifications from that, and that's absolutely fine. We don't want to exclude those people. We want to bring them all in and say, listen, that's fine. You can't do it now. That's okay. You're still part of this thing called JP Rowing, and it goes. We're lucky. We got at the moment we've got boys from every. JP Rowing started in 1958, and we got guys from 1958 all the way through to 2020 that we've spoken to, and that are part of JP Boats and Blades. It's a huge privilege. It really, really is. But enough from me, Kevin. So from your side, and I know this is always a difficult one. Can you give us one example, one occasion that you remember with great fondness? And I know it's always a challenge, but you try.
Oh, my word. I've pondered that question, and it was, for me, it's not, I know if you're wanting a single incident, but for me, I used to absolutely enjoy rowing camps. Like what I'm saying is, because think about it, rowing camps was like, in that whole time frame, I mean, you worked your backside off in the morning, your backside off in the afternoon, and you just slept like crazy in between whenever you could. You just slept whatever. But the whole thing about it, I mean, there we were. We'd really, I mean, other guys would be having their holidays and off, and here we were. We were so dedicated. I mean, we didn't really look at it that way because rowing camps were so cool. But I always think of rowing camps, and I mean, and even regattas. I mean, I believe the whole format of regattas has changed. I mean, because remember, Greg, how regattas were this like major event every weekend. I mean, because I know my parents, they absolutely love regattas. I mean, they made a day of it every time, but there was just such a different vibe about regatta day. And the support and the running down to the water's edge to shout for the next crew that's racing, and that kind of thing. It was just absolutely amazing. But I mean, it's difficult to think of one particular incident because it's just so much.
It was all great, yeah. And
really,
yeah, absolutely. So, tell me a little bit about, you were the stroke for the first 8, weren't you? In it was your final season.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, just rewind the season before that. So I was very privileged and fortunate to be in a crew right from under 14 up, that we just were a very successful crew. So when it came to who's going to make the first 8 and who isn't, like, because you had the guys that were a year ahead of us, and so like all the big guys, I mean, Alfredo Rocchio and Damon and all of them, they went up. And I didn't make it. I didn't make the first 8. It was like, I was devastated. I mean, I was crushed. Okay. I mean, but Ali had a trick up his sleeve, because remember, I used to row bar. I was the barman coming through the seasons, and he made me the stroke of the first 4. It's like, really? I mean, but I didn't realize that he was actually prepping me for the next season. So that I was then very fortunate to be, to stroke the first 8 the next year. And I mean, even at SA Champs that year, when I was stroking the first 4 and I was stroking the second 8, I got chosen for Transvaal schools which was so rare in those days. Remember, they always took guys from the first 8. Yeah. So I was like, what? When they called out my name, I mean, probably that would be a fun memory, because I was completely, people came, did you hear that your name was announced? I said, no way. I said, they just announced your name for Transvaal schools. I said, come on. And
amazing.
Yeah. So I was fortunate to row for the Transvaal schools twice.
That is amazing.
So that was big. And yeah, the first 8 season was just an incredible season. I mean, yes, we didn't win champs and that, but it was fantastic. I mean, it was us and Saints the whole year. But yeah, what a crew. The guys were awesome, really. I mean, Gates and Galley was like the best cocks around. We just had really, really awesome time. And I mean, when I was in first 4, I mean, Butch, Gary Hepburn was our cox then as well. Also, absolutely amazing, amazing guy, amazing cox. So yeah, I've really, those last 2 seasons are just very special.
Amazing. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for speaking with us and sharing those memories. Yeah. It's a lot of those people are known to me personally, because they were my juniors, but more than that, they've all rallied together for the Boats and Blades cause, which is fantastic. So thank you for your time. And for everybody else out there, thank you. For everyone else out there, just remember, pull together for gold, and please go check out our website. That's www.jpboatsandblades.co.za. Thank you very much.
Awesome.